Good afternoon, Rattlers. Good afternoon, Rattlers. Afternoon, Rattlers. As I was leaving home, I heard President Biden say on TV, this tall gentleman came up to him and asked him to loan him some money because he was losing money real fast, and he told him, "I'm sorry, Donald Trump, but I don't have any." We're getting started a little late. I want to apologize to our home viewers. And also, I want to take a moment of silence for a great man, uh, Governor Bob Graham, who started off on the wrong foot at Florida A&M, in the sense that he actually thought, when everybody was talking about merger, FAMU, FSU, merger, FAMU, FSU, he actually thought that that's what FAMU wanted. It wasn't any problem on his part, that's what he thought. But when he found out differently, he made a quick 180-degree turn. And he was FAMU's strongest supporters. A lot of governors talk the talk and promise this and promise that, but Governor Graham was there. He not only made some promises that he followed through on, he was there at crucial times. He was in the box a lot of times at the game in Tampa. He was in the box when he was in Tallahassee. He stopped by the President's house. He was a good friend to Florida A&M University, so I want to take just a few moments of silence for the great Governor Bob Graham. Thank you. Y'all know I've been feeling a little under the weather lately. So I got Jerry has some relatives in town. And they heard say, Ed is not doing so well, so we're going to come by and see him. Boy, they stayed a long time. They're good people now. I don't want to give the impression they're good people. But you know, they're kind of like Leroy. Leroy here today? Oh, good, cuz y'all keep me away from him. I got another good friend who's kind of heavy set. We have breakfast on Saturday mornings at the Village Inn, and he'll come by and, "Hey, Eddie, how you doing?" in the back. And boy, I wanted to hit him so bad. But anyway, I don't want to give the wrong impression. Jerry Jackson taking good care of me. I said I wasn't going to have any of that today, but calling my wife's name, do that. But I'm Rattler strong, Rattler proud, so I can get past calling Jerry Jackson's name. Seven Cobb, President of our boosters.
Bring this across in front of you like that, and you can have a seat. And we're gonna leave this right here. So you're, yeah. Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Rattler Boosters, 220 Quarterback Club, F Club, and everybody that's assembled here. Want you all to put this in your save the dates. August the 10th. Hadn't really decided on actually what time it's going to be, but that's is when we're going to have our Rattler Boost, our strike. What do we call it? The Rattler Boosters kickoff is what we're going to have on the Lawson Center. It's going to be, again, on August the 10th. We expect for everybody in here to buy at least one table. One table. At least one table. So we're looking forward to that. We'll tell you that later on. We ain't got that point yet. Yeah, we ain't got to that point yet. Yeah. Coach just said we'll tell y'all August the 9th how much the table is. Okay. My illustrious secretary is not here yet. I'm kind of waiting on him a little bit, Bill Woods. But we're going to move right along with the program. Again, this is Rattler Boosters. We cover all FAMU sports. Our outdoor women and men track team is off this week. They aren't competing this week. But on the following week, they're going to be at the they're going to be in Gaines. And did I get this right? Yeah, that was last week. Yeah, that's right. They're gonna be in Jacksonville at a tournament in Jacksonville. Our men golf team is we're on day 2 of yesterday was day 2. We aren't doing as well. We're 13 over. We're 21 strokes behind the Arkansas Pine Bluff. So we got some room to make up. On our baseball team, we're doing quite well. We just come off of a 3-game sweep with Mississippi Valley, and it was like a home run hitting contest. We hit 55 home runs. That was only in a 3 games. So we bought our sticks up. You're right. Thank you. You're right. It was 55-18, but we did hit a lot of home runs too. Our next game is Alabama A&M, and we're going to play that at Morris Kittles Field. On the women's softball, of course, we were in first place. That's right. Currently, we're coming off a 2-game winning streak over Jackson State. And our next game is we're following the baseball team. Last week, we were over at Ida Bena. So this week, our softball team is going to be over at Ida Bena. So maybe they'll score 56 runs. Our women's softball, again, we're in first place. Currently coming off of a 2-game win streak, over Jackson State. And they're over in Ida Bena. That's our softball team. The softball team is going to Ida Bena. I think it starts tomorrow, and then it's going to be over Friday. Our women's tennis team currently is in the tournament in New Orleans. We are coming off a 4-game winning streak over Alabama State. Our current, we are the number 1 seed in the tournament, and we're going to play the winner out of Southern and Alabama A&M. Okay, so those are the highlights. Now I'm going to hit you with, again, I told you about the event on the August the 10th. I'm going to ask you now to just make sure that you renew your Rattler Booster membership. You're talking about, we got 3 levels. We got a $100 level, and that's the annual fee. Then we got a $350 level, and we also have what we call a lifetime membership level, which is $750. Yeah, that's $750. So we want to make sure that you go ahead and renew your Rattler Boosters membership. Okay, thank you. Now, Coach, do you want me to introduce Coach Colzie, or do you want to come up and make your introduction to him, or how you want to do this?
I'd like to introduce Coach Cole.
Okay,
One of my favorite things.
he's going to like to introduce Coach Colzie.
By the way, from now on, when I say what's her name, y'all know who I'm talking about, so I won't have to go through this foolishness again. Coach, I hope you don't mind if I take my seat, but I'd like to introduce the head coach. Having been a head coach of the Little League football team in St. Petersburg. But ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and great pleasure to introduce the head coach of the Florida A&M University Rattlers, Coach Colzie.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, y'all. It came to my attention last Wednesday at about 12:30 that I might have been somewhere else than where I was supposed to be last week. And yeah, she grabbed me at the ticket office. I want to say, was it Thursday? Thursday, she grabbed me at the ticket office and told me to get my hips together. I heard that a long time, but I knew exactly what she meant. I'll say this again. I apologize. As I was, we were celebrating a National Student Athlete Day over there, and Vaughn and Mr. Jackson. I had missed calls from my phone asking me, where I was and whatnot, and apparently we had a little bit of a failure to communicate. But I tell my players no excuses, and that's exactly what I have to tell myself. So I did run extra that Friday. My players didn't think I ran enough, but I did run extra for missing last week. So I do apologize, but I'm here today. I will say it's been a blessing again to wake up this morning. I was at a wedding Monday in Virginia Beach, and then I got a chance to, a wedding celebration on Monday, and I was on a flight this morning getting back. So, always a blessing to travel and be safe wherever you may be, and I had to make sure I got here before 12 o'clock today, just so I wasn't gonna be late today. But either way, I was gonna bring a few players and a few of my coaches today. We are right now still evaluating and assessing guys after our spring practice / game on Saturday. But I also have one coach right now that I'm still waiting to, get going and announce. He's finalized through HR, but we have not yet announced him yet. So we will be announcing him, in the next couple of days. And I felt pretty bad why I can only, bring 2 coaches and not bring the other one. So we'll come together. I want to say it's not next week, it's the following week. Am I right? Okay. Yeah. 2 weeks. Yeah. So 2 Wednesdays. So I think next week I'll be down in Miami. We start our quick strike tour. So I'll be down in Miami next Wednesday. I'll be down there for a couple of days, meeting with a couple of people there. I think it'll be my first time doing it. So hopefully y'all please pray for me. Because I'm born and raised in Miami, and I can tell you right now there's gonna be some guys down there that who knows might show up, but it should be just pray for me to make sure I do FAMU well while I'm down there for those 2 days. But obviously enough about me. I know we want to sit down and talk about football, and we just had our spring game / practice. Now I want to let you guys know that the reason why I went to the practice format, I did it for a couple of reasons, okay? My first reason was injuries, okay? And I don't mean we had guys hurt. I wanted to protect some of our offensive linemen and some of our defensive linemen. So if you saw us in practice, you saw us kind of go team, and then we kind of shifted into some 7-on-7. So I wanted to make sure that we saved Jalen Goss. I don't need to know if Jalen Goss is going to be able to block anybody last Saturday. I know he's been doing it for 4 years, right? I didn't need to know if James Ash was going to be the best defensive lineman on the football team, because he's been doing that to us for the last couple of years. So we had about 5 to 6 guys that didn't even play, and all 5 of those 6 guys were actually starters of our football team. So we went to that format. It was a format that we had done the first 13 practices. The guys were obviously comfortable with it. So that was the first thing. I want to let you know that was one of the main reasons why we did it. And then secondly, since we were going at 4 o'clock and the weather for us isn't necessarily what we had been going against, we practice at 6 o'clock in the morning, it don't get to 90 degrees like it did last week. So we started off at 4. It was very, very hot. So I wanted to, again, make sure we went through 6:30. I wanted to make sure we got it in, got it out, and the practice format was going to be the best case scenario to do so. Now, looking ahead, if we go, next year and we're sitting around there with 120 or 125 players, we would hopefully revert back to that. But spring game, the veterans that we have on our football team, already knowing what the majority of those guys can do, the last thing I wanted to do was get some of those guys hurt, in a spring game that we both, offense, it was FAMU offense versus FAMU defense. FAMU was going to win anyway, right? So I didn't think it was important or I guess, I want to maybe use, my best judgment in regards to trying to have our guys going against each other as if, we were getting ready to play for a football game. So those are the reasons. I had a couple guys ask me why we did it. They liked it. They liked some of the things. When you go Skelly, offensively, there's no pressure on the quarterback, right? So they have the ability to do what? Throw the ball for a long period of time, which then leads to what? Touchdowns that you may see, So got some more points on the board. We were throwing the ball around a little bit. But again, like I said, no injuries. Right now, my staff and our players we have a team meeting today. I have a staff meeting at 2, team meeting at 5. We'll discuss what we're going to be doing over the next couple weeks as far as finishing academically, finishing strong, making sure that we have our end of the year meeting so I can give my expectations, what their expectations are to get ready for summer. Because we got those. We got a long summer, and then getting ready for the upcoming season. So my thoughts on our specific groups. I'll start with the offensive side of the football. If you guys watched us in the spring or watched a lot of the reports in the spring, we might have had a little bit of a quarterback battle. Am I right? I had the opportunity to speak to the media right after, and I already knew they were getting ready to ask me. I already knew what they were getting ready to ask me, and I explained to them I didn't have a decision yet. And I think for an abundance of reasons, one being, I thought both quarterbacks did a really, really good job. Commanding our offense. Number 2, Norfolk State wants to know who our quarterback's going to be. So guess what? I ain't telling them. All right, so right. So we're going to go through the summer and let these guys battle, let these guys go through everything. And even if I'll put it like this, I thought we've done a good job since January evaluating and assessing these guys in different scenarios, right? So we had our weightlifting aspect, we had our agility drills aspect, and then we had our spring aspect where everything that we do, we will evaluate. So even if I would have named the quarterback in the spring, it doesn't mean that the other guy wouldn't have had an opportunity during training camp to earn that job. So, again, just kind of wanted to make sure everybody was on the same page. Right now we are 1A and 1B. If you ask me today who 1A is, he'll be 1B tomorrow. Okay, so don't even worry about it. But those 2 guys right now are definitely very, very good ambassadors to our university. They're gonna do whoever does end up being named the quarterback. that doesn't mean he won't be changed, right? You know, later on in the season or whatever the case may be. So, believe it or not, Rattler Nation, we got 2 guys that we feel can lead this football team. Do we need 1? Yes, but we do have 2 that do have the ability to help lead this program back to the national championship. Now, I will say this: we are still recruiting one. All right, we are still recruiting quarterbacks because we have the ability to have one. We have 1 more scholarship left, and I don't know if you guys remember what I said earlier. Our quarterback coach, I wanted him to have the ability to bring in at least 1 guy, right? So as far as, we get 5 scholarships, right? We have the ability to get 1 more, and we are still currently recruiting a guy as well. So I want to let you guys know about the quarterback situation. Offensive line, guy. I mean, I've mentioned this quite a bit in the media. We have the best offensive line in the SWAC by far. And you got Jalen Goss, Trey Lee, TJ Lee, Ashton Grable, Ricky Taylor, Cesar Reyes, Mike Marshall. These are all guys that will play really, really good snaps for us. We'll have probably I would say at least 2 of the 5 all preseason SWAC, maybe even 3. And the success of our football team will primarily be because of how good our offensive line is, right? And we know how it is. Football team got to be able to do what? Got to be able to run the football and keep the defense off the field. And I'm perfectly fine with that, especially being a defensive guy. So offensively, will we throw the ball? Yes. Will we run the ball? Yes. But at the end of games, you want to be able to run the football to keep the defense off the field. And I think we have a very, very good group with those guys there. Our wide receivers, we've had a couple that have hit the transfer portal, and with that, we have actually signed 2 guys out of the transfer portal. Again, you leave us, that's fine, but don't mean that we're gonna stop, right? And I mentioned earlier, we got a lot of people that want to be here in Tallahassee, and we had about 9 recruits come in during the spring game, and I appreciate all of you guys because they didn't get the whole taste. They didn't get the whole meal last weekend. They just got a little bit of a taste of it, and every one of those guys was excited about what would happen on a true game day. So we had 9 guys in, and it looks like 7 out of those 9 are going to commit to us. So obviously that'll be on Instagram and Twitter and all the other things. But like I said, we lost two wide receivers, but we've signed 2 from really, really good programs. 1 from a group of 5. And then another guy that's out of the SWAC who's one of the top receivers in the conference, right? So, what running backs? I mean, we were talking about the running backs as I walked in, right? We got Kelvin Dean from Chipley, Florida. We got Jacquez Young from Tallahassee, and then we got another young guy by the name of Bo Somerset. So we're really, really happy at that position, and I think that with Kelvin Dean being the MVP, he'll more than likely be a preseason all-conference running back. So we're extremely happy on that side of the football. And then to throw in our tight end position where Kobe Gross and Jeremiah Pruitt are 2 returning players who are going to be really, really good for us. And then all we did was just signed a former 4-star tight end out of Pitt. So we, as opposed to 2 really good tight ends, we just added a Power 5 tight end to play that position as well. So again, extremely happy with our offense. I think we're going in the direction, or we're continuing to trend in the direction offensively that we are accustomed to, right? That you guys are accustomed to, and I'm really happy about where we're going moving forward. And obviously, once we get a chance to announce some of the recruiting guys, and then be able to announce whoever that new quarterback will be for us, well, I think you guys will be extremely happy with what we're doing thus far. I would ask if you guys had any questions about the offensive side before I move to the defensive side. That might be the best possible situation. Yeah.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Freddie Miller.
Yes, sir.
So you was talking about the front line people. What your second line look like for us depth?
Well, and I think with us in that room, we need to get some more depth. So we are still currently in the portal, not necessarily trying to find starters, right? But maybe trying to find some really, really good backups to help challenge some of the starters that we may have at that position. Okay. Yeah. Great question. I mean, believe me, we're happy with our guys that we have, but yeah, we're steadily still recruiting on the offensive side of the football.
I'm Dr. Walker.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have homeboys who are listening online.
Yes, ma'am.
They wait to hear my name every week.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Dr. Walker.
Dr. Walker. I know who you are.
You didn't call my name.
Oh, well, you know what? I'll call your name next time. Yes, ma'am, Dr. Walker.
You say you recruited someone, the running back, I think you said from Tallahassee.
Yes, ma'am.
You didn't give the high school.
Well, because Jacquez Yant he was at Nebraska. He was at Nebraska before as a transfer. So but he is from Tallahassee. Did he go to Godby? Yeah, okay. So Jacquez Yant went to Godby High School. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Walker. Yes, ma'am.
Coach,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to break a rule here.
Okay.
Because I think this goes about both offense and defense.
Okay, that's fine.
And-
I didn't make the rules on that. I just felt, I know people want to know about the offense, so I was like, hey,
Okay.
but I'm with you. Go
I'll
ahead.
Take my chance.
Yes, sir.
And the word is discipline.
Yes.
And I'm talking about discipline as in me, where football players, they get insulted by the guy on the other side, and the next thing you know, you get a penalty. And in the second half is penalties on crucial plays. When you know you're about to make it and you end up and get a penalty that costs you the touchdown or whatever. And then the second is too much time to call the play when you just came off the sideline talking to one another, and then you get a too much time. So talk to me about those two things, please, if you will. Discipline and too much time to get the play off.
Okay, well, how many people were at the spring scrimmage over this past Saturday? Okay, so how many of those undisciplined penalties did we have on Saturday? Okay. How many times did we have? Two. No, not the delay of games. I'm talking about the 15-yard variety penalties. We didn't have any of those, right? Which we've I don't know if you guys know, we averaged about 2 or 3 a game, the last couple years. So, right. Well, I mean, we've done for the most part. Don't get me wrong. We've had fights during practice. And whenever we've had a penalty of that nature, because ultimately when you fight during a game, it's not just a penalty. Most likely you're gonna get ejected for the game. So I treat it as such. If you want to fight in practice, I'm not gonna get in the way. I'm gonna let you fight. I'm gonna let you do all the other things. But then you got to get you behind the locker room, because that's what would happen to you in a game, right? So I treat it as if when we hit the practice field, we're in a game. Y'all want to fight? Go ahead, fight. Get tired, and take you behind into the locker room, because that would normally happen to you in a game. So we treat it as such. Now the delay of game penalties and if you again remember who was out there when we had that, we were working with our 3 unit. No excuses on that, right? Trust me, on that headset, hey, let's get the plays in. Let's we can't get delayed game penalties, et cetera, et cetera. I don't blame that on the players. That's something with the coach that we got to continue to work on, some operation aspects. Now, I will say this, on Saturday, since our offensive coordinator is new, right? We have a new offensive coordinator, and we were going through some different, how we were going to call, different signals. So we were working through some things, to become game ready at that time as well. So, again, those are penalties that, 1st and 10 compared to 1st and 15, we'd rather have the 1st and 10, right, and run the play correctly. So those are things that, we'll continue to work on. Believe me, the offensive operation and the defensive operations are things that we talk about and we need to improve, right? But having a delay of game right when you leave the sidelines, or having 2 straight delay of game penalties, yeah, I mean, I think we all know those are things that can't happen, all right? His name is Ronald Joe. Yeah. This is Mr. Ronald Joe and Dr. Walker. I'm good with that.
Coach.
Yes.
Hey, I'm over here. Over here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All
Okay.
right.
I'm sorry. Dr. Walker, Miss Hattie, I got to watch my side right now. I gotta watch my sides.
Coach, Johnny Hankerson here.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hankerson.
I wanted to comment that the first half we didn't have no pre-snap penalties. The penalties came about middle ways in the third. I was paying attention to that, and I was gonna comment that that is very disciplined, you know, and I know that you big on discipline,
Right.
you know, so I want to commend you on that.
Well, I appreciate it. And again, I'm understand this, whether it's our 3s, our 4s, or our 5s that are on the field, when you're on the field, you're a 1. And you need to act as such. And anything like that, right? The delay of games, et cetera, et cetera. I put that on myself and I put that on the coaches because, you know, if we're not, we know how much time is left on the clock, right? We know how much time it takes for us to get the plays in. So we got to make sure, and if we're going to ask our quarterback to do all of these things pre-snap, then we got to give him time to do what? To do all of those things pre-snap. So, you know, I'm not a yeller on the field per se, unless I'm get really, really angry. But hey, I'm in the headset. Hey guys, let's make sure we're moving along. Did we have some guys that weren't starters out there? Yes, but doesn't matter. You're on that field. We're trusting you to be on that field. Therefore, you're a starter once you hit that field. But I do appreciate that. I do.
Coach.
Yes, sir. Same place. Everybody's over there. Sounds like Jesus up there. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
James Matthews here, a friend of Dr. Walker's.
Yes. Hey, Mr. Dr. Walker, you started it. I know. Hey. Yes.
My question is, how are you balancing the portal with recruiting high school players?
Well, I mean, I think the way they're doing the portal right now, so we have 2 weeks, right? We have these, it opened Monday, and the portal closes Friday, next Friday, right? So we have 2 weeks to navigate who's in there. How many people, does anybody know how many players are in the portal right now? Yes, 1,800. That's you enter the portal Monday, not counting the amount of people that enter the portal before then, right? So I mean, there's I look at my phone right now. I got 6 pop-ups right now telling me guys that have entered the portal, right? So I have my notifications to let me know who's entering the portal, right? So 6. So now it's 1,806, according to my phone, right? So with that in mind. High school recruiting, does anybody know when high school recruiting starts for us? It's for the state of Florida, it's May 1, right? So May 1st through May 31st is when now we're not worried about the portal anymore. We'll get a chance to hit the spring practices at the appropriate high schools that we are responsible for. So, how are we balancing it? For FAMU, right? And I'm going to use just Florida A&M because I could care less about Florida State, what they're doing in the portal. I could care less what USC is doing in the portal. For us, we have to have that. The balancing act has to be the guys that we have that are currently in the portal compared to the guys that we're looking at trying to replace them. That's how we have to balance it. I mean, we're not going to go after the defensive end at Florida State who started 30 games and he's getting 500,000 but he wants $1 million. Like those aren't the guys that we are necessarily going after, right? So we're looking at the guys again that are in there still, right? Our players compared to similar guys that are like them in the portal. Now, who are we primarily looking at? Looking at a group of 5 players that are graduate transfers and looking for 1 more year, and they want to play. They want to play on the big stage. They want to have the opportunity to play at the next level or play in the NFL. So those kind of players, if they somehow come to the SWAC, have that ability. They might be the 3rd defensive end at Tulane. They might be the 3rd defensive end at Troy. They might be the 4th wide receiver at South Florida. So those are the type of players that we're looking at because, hey, they've had quality careers at the group of 5 or the Power 5 institutions that they're at. But now they want to give an opportunity to dominate, to show the NFL scouts that, you know what, I might have been the 3 at South Florida, but I could be the 1 over here at Florida A&M. And believe it or not, those are good players. Those are really, really good football players. Right? So that's where we're at. Right? I mean, so out of those 1,800, we're not going after all of them. We're probably looking at maybe 100 to 200. We got about 14 people that are all scouring it and looking at it, and those are the kind of guys that we're looking at as far as the portal goes. High school, right? We got, and I don't know if I've said this in here before. I just think that we got to do a little bit better job recruiting the high schools, right? And that's just my opinion. And we will do a much better job with that, because if we don't hit every single school in the state of Florida, then we haven't done a good job recruiting. We got an entire month. Right? I have myself down there in South Florida. My other defensive back will be down there in South Florida. We're going to coordinate what schools we have, cut them suckers in half, and whether we're there for 10 or 15 minutes, we're going to be at that school. We're going to meet the head coach. We're going to get his list, which would mean at that time we've done a good job of making sure that that coach knows that FAMU is interested in their scholar athletes. Yes, sir.
Wilbur Johnson, I don't know Leela. The rumor on the street is that the running back from FSU, is in the transfer portal again.
Yes.
So that's the reason he's not listed 1, 2, or 3 on that depth chart.
No, sir. Oh, well, I mean, we're gonna let him figure out what he needs, right? I mean, I can't, and I don't want to get too personal with it. I don't want to get too personal with it. I need people that want to be here.
Gotcha.
Right,
Okay.
and that's not just Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and most or Saturday. Like the guys that we have on our roster that play that position, they Monday morning meetings, Tuesday morning practices, Wednesday morning lifts, Thursday morning meetings and practice and lifts, Friday meetings, Saturday games. That's what those guys do. They've done that for a year or 2 years with us, right? I have no issues with any of them, right? So. If you're doing what I'm asking you to do, then that's who I want. If you're not, then I don't necessarily, need you to be around. Now, again, I want to make sure I'm not speaking just specifically about the young man, but he needed some time to figure out what he needs to do, and that's what the portal's for. So we're going to allow him to do that.
Any update on Gentle Hunt? I saw him at the ring ceremony Friday night. That's why I asked. I noticed he's still around, hanging around the guys.
Good looking cat, ain't he?
Yeah.
Well, he's in the portal. He went to the portal early. And he's getting offers. But he's got to make a decision on whether he wants to stay in Tallahassee or go to Michigan or go to Ohio or some of those other places that are offering him, right? So, he's got a great support system. In my opinion, he shoots me messages from time to time, and just so you guys know, when a school calls me about him, I'm giving him the truth, which is really, really good things about him. I'm gonna tell them the truth, and there's nothing but positive about General Hunt. So he knows where I stand, which ultimately he knows where FAMU stands. He is getting offers. He's entertaining other offers from from other schools, and he'll make a decision as such. Now, what does that mean? Are we still recruiting to try to find us a Gentle Hunt? Absolutely. So until he lets us know what he may do, right, we're going to have to recruit as such as if he's not here compared to as if he is. Now, when he's here, then we'll sign him off. We'll take him. Trust me, we will take 92 back. All right? But, I mean, if we have to put somebody else in 92, believe me, we don't want to be left with our pants down to make sure that we're able to do that.
My man, number 25, what's the name from Gulfport, running back?
25 from where?
Huh?
Oh, Leland.
Leland.
Yeah, he wasn't with us this past spring.
I know he wasn't, because he wasn't there to accept the ring from me.
Got you.
Can I have my ring back?
Knowing Leland, probably not. But yeah, I mean, and again, I truly appreciate you doing that for him. So, but he was out of town. I think he's going to be receiving it this week. Has anybody seen the ring? Has anybody not seen the ring? Has anybody not seen the ring? So I brought mine. Okay, I brought mine. All right, I'm checking pockets on the way out now. Nugget. Well, have you seen the ring yet? Have you seen it? Okay, when you grab it, you'll see kind of why I'm not wearing it per se. I did wear it for a little while, and I was actually sitting down because I knew I was gonna have to talk about the ring. I was actually sitting down. And I had to count how many rings I have, right? And not counting the Celebration Bowl ring that we're going to be receiving in the next 2 months. This is going to be my 18th ring. Yes, so I've been blessed. Now I want you to know this. Now, the reason why I actually don't wear my rings is because my mother and my father have every ring that I've ever gotten. They have them all. Now, my mom don't wear the ring. She wears the pendants. She don't want the ring. She don't want the ring. All right, she wants the pendants. And then my dad actually has all my rings. So the ring that you guys are seeing right now, it'll be in Tallahassee probably for the next few days. I fly down to Miami to go to do my Quick Strike tour, and I'll be giving it to him. So that's why I don't wear them. Now, the Celebration Bowl ring, I've seen a picture of it. He might not get that one. He might not get that. I'm gonna wear that one. It looks like, but you know, I'm not in this position without my parents. I'm not in this position, whether I'm a player or when I was a coach, and you know, I for a lot of years I couldn't give him a lot of money, but I can give him rings, you know, and just to show my appreciation. Now I'm in the stage where I am having the ability to give some money, but they also still want the darn rings too. So they don't want just the money; they want some rings as well. So they'll get those rings. My dad will get the ring next week. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a Zora Williams,
Okay.
classmate of Dr. Walker.
Okay. And is that why she's in the front and you're in the back? I got you.
I'm
She's
just curious. I keep hearing the name Trey Fisher. Is he still on the roster? Red shirt?
Well, you know, he
mediocre,
speak
what?
when you speak of the two penalties that we did have. Trey Fisher was at the quarterback position at the time, so yes, he's still with us. He was battling some injuries, you know, throughout the spring, but yes, Trey's still with us. Oh, excuse me, you're talking about the receiver? No, you're talking about the quarterback. Trey Fisher, yes, he was playing quarterback at a couple times when we had a couple of the penalties, but yeah, but he's still with us, and he's fighting through some injuries that he had. But I mean, he's definitely, yes, he's still with us.
With the
Trey is number 12. When I hear Trey, I always think of Trey Davis first. I don't know why, but I always think of him first. So, but yes,
with their new offensive coordinator coming in, I don't think he's had time to work with the team or the offense as a unit. What will he bring in that will change some of the things that you all have been doing already? Is he coming in and just accept what has been done to this point?
well, believe it or not, Coach Henry's been with our staff. You know, he was the co-offensive coordinator with Coach Simmons the last 2 seasons, right? So, you know, Henry's been here, and I want to say this is actually his second stint at Florida A&M, right? So he was our co-OC, and he was our offensive line coach last year. So he was actually helping Coach, you know, when Coach Simmons was doing all the other stuff as the head coach, Coach Henry was actually the one who was helping organize and do all the other things to get the offense, right, going and situated throughout the week. So he really is just picking up where he left off and where Coach Simmons left off, because we're actually still running the same offense. That was the biggest thing for the offense. They wanted to keep it. They wanted to keep the continuity, right? So we didn't necessarily bring in a new guy. Coach Henry's been there. We just have a new guy calling the plays, which to me, he's going to have to get used to that. And that was something that we made sure we tried to do to the best of our ability during the spring.
So the offense, because you hadn't said anything about defense, the offense will look pretty much the same as it has in the Simmons years.
Well, believe it or not, in my interview when I was talking to Coach Henry, that was the one thing we made sure that we were on the same page about. Like any other new coaches that we brought in, you know, that we may have lost because when Coach Simmons' departure, I needed them to understand they were going to learn the offense that we were running, and we've been running over the last, 4, 5, 6 years, however long Coach Simmons has been here. So I don't want anybody coming in with no new stuff. Your job is to learn what we've been doing, right? So I didn't want to change the 50 players that we have on offense and try to change their terminology and their entire mindset. No, any new coaches, and that was part of the reason why some of the coaches that we hired was because they were similar to some of the they used the terminology that we've been using in the past, and we're aware of what we have been running offensively in the past.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's a great question.
Jimmy Demps.
Mr. Demps.
Yes. what are we doing as far as recruiting in Georgia, state of Georgia? I noticed they got some good teams over there.
Well, believe it or not, I am my recruiting area for however long I want to say I've been coaching has always been that South Georgia area. So, I've always had South Florida. I've always had South Georgia, right? And then I would get that southwest of Georgia, kind of in that Columbus, Georgia, Noonan area. So, we're still gonna recruit heavily in that area. Now, that was my area when Coach Simmons was the head coach. Coach Milton Patterson, our defensive coordinator, will now have the South Georgia area. So, how many people have been to a Lowndes Valdosta high school football game when they've played against each other? I mean, that's the and no disrespect to Godby and Rickards, and no disrespect to any of the other major rivalry games. But if you get a chance to go watch Valdosta and Lowndes play a high school football game, that is by far one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen. And believe it or not, a lot of the state of Georgia universities, they'll build their actual recruiting calendar off of that game to make sure that they, as a staff, are all at that football game. And again, that's South Georgia, right? You got Lowndes, you got Valdosta, you got Colquitt, right? And over there in Moultrie. So that was my area. I think we got some pretty good players from South Georgia, and I think we need to continue to grab them because we're 45 minutes from Cairo, right? So I mean that's closer than some of the other cities that are just in the state of Florida. So good football there, and so we'll continue to make sure that we hit some of those areas.
Coach.
Yes, ma'am.
That sign behind you. Sorry. The sign behind you.
Yes, ma'am.
It says 2023.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to see 2024 on there.
So do I.
And I just want to comment. I don't really have a question.
Okay.
Everybody's different.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure you do you.
Right.
You be you.
Right.
Willie Simmons had his day. I love him. I'm mad at him because he left here.
Right.
But you be James Colzie.
Okay.
And you do the best that you can to make that 2024.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I got a chance to talk to Willie last Thursday. He calls me head ball coach, and I tried to call him head ball coach. He goes, I'm not head ball coach no more. But Willie, and I mentioned this at the ring gala. I'm not in this situation without Coach Willie Simmons, and I will continue to say that. He blessed me with the opportunity to be the assistant head coach, and I know that he had a lot to say to the boosters and to alumni about me, being able to be the head football coach at this prestigious university. So I owe a lot to Coach Simmons. He's at Duke now, and I know he's going to continue to do great things. But I cannot without. I have to make sure I mention to him that I truly appreciate the opportunity that he gave me. Yes,
Coach. From online, I think in reference to who was asking about the offensive coordinator. Was that you, boss man? Were you referring to the new co-offensive coordinator, Burns? That's what somebody online asked. Were you referring to Burns? So he was referring to Burns, not Henry.
Oh, Coach Burns, our co-OC and quarterback coach. Were you referring to him? Yes, sir. So Coach Henry Burns he took over at the quarterback spot, right? That was the position that Coach Simmons, obviously coached over the last few years. And with Coach Burns coming in, he had to understand what we were trying to do offensively, right? And what we've had success with. So now, believe it or not, guys, Coach Burns thrown for 65,000 yards in his career, right? He's considered one of the best, CFL quarterbacks ever. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's got a lot of accolades. He played at Temple, played in the NFL. And all of those accolades meant zero to us because we needed him to understand how we run the offense here at Florida A&M. We don't get read through for 80,000. Do you know what Atlanta means, right? Do you know what Michigan means? Those are the things that we wanted to make sure that he knew. So after hiring him, and after going through the interview process, a guy who's been around a lot of football, him being around a lot of football helped us and helped him understand how important we needed him to help us with what we're doing, not with how much he knew. Yes, sir. Okay, defense. All right, defense. So now, if you guys have been, watching social media, et cetera, defense, a lot of has probably the most as far as guys that are in the portal, right? So, Dark Cloud, I know Coach Patterson's coming up with another slogan that he wants to add for our defense, right? Well, our top defensive lineman, James Ash, is still with us. He'll be preseason all-conference. Eric Horn, number 5, finally gets a chance to take over that starting role, hopefully at that Mike linebacker position. And then our defensive backs, Kendall Bowler, Andre Powell, Chase Lloyd, a lot of those guys on the back end have kind of been waiting their turn or just returning as starters at the individual positions that they may be. So we still need to hit some portal. I think we're going to have to probably hit the portal more in defense than we may have been in offense. But, defensively, a lot of guys returning, got some backups, but we also understand that being in the portal is extremely essential for some of the things that we're doing. What else you got? Oh, thank you. Anybody got anything for defense? Yes. Well, that's Kendall Bowler, right? Kendall Bowler will be Kendall Bowler number 3, preseason all-conference, more than likely, because he was All-American last year. He'll be preseason all-conference, more than likely be preseason All-American and a lot of different aspects. Young man's getting ready to graduate in 2 weeks. He's got 1 more year left, right? So he'll be back, right? You're going to add Amari Lee, he was a backup for us last year. He'll play quite a bit for us. You got you got Jamil Sanders, who we just signed from South Florida. You have T.J. Huggins, who we signed from Tulane. So our defensive backs they've always been pretty good. We'll be the same this upcoming year. Well, we'll be a 4-2-5, just like we've been the last 3 years, right? So similar to our offense, right? We needed 2 new coaches, same philosophy. Again, I could care less how much you know. I need you to know what we do, right? Andre Pope is our new defensive back coach. He actually played for me in 2012, so he already knows what I want, right? He was a defensive back coach for the last 3 years at Alabama State. And if you guys have followed Alabama State, which I'm pretty sure we haven't, but over the years, they've been really, really good on defense, especially in the defensive backfield. So we stole one of their coaches to come join us, our defensive line guy, who has not yet been announced, but he's a former NFL guy, played at Oklahoma. He'll be great to be coaching our defensive line. So, there was the same philosophy. Yep, you know a lot. Yep, played in the NFL, great, all that. We need you to know how to run a 4-2-5. Can you do that? Right, and all of those showed us during the interview, and I trust those 2 guys to fill in and do quite nicely for us. Right.
Punting, kicking, very important.
Yes.
How are our punters, kickers looking for making sure we get those extra points or those field goals?
And I was going to speak special teams, but since you asked me, I'm going to talk about it now.
Okay, thank you.
Our special teams, they're back, right? The entire group is back, and we actually added 2 guys that I think are even better than what we may have. So I think our group, if we're not all conference and at every position, long snapper, kicker, punter, then I think we did an injustice to them. And I'm saying that, because Will Hoyt's not just one of the best punters in the SWAC, he's one of the best punters in the country, right? We got our 2 kickers that are really, really good, one left-footed, the other one right-footed. So we have a decision to make, not just, we got one guy who kicks left-footed, the other one kicks right-footed. So we got decisions to make at that aspect, but they're all very, very good, and we got great long snappers as well. So, that's a great question, Ms. Johnson. I think we'll be really, really good on both sides.
I think we spend a lot of time talking about what you're going to do on air, and everybody's listening. I really appreciated the game, watching it on my phone. I couldn't get in. It was so hot on that east side. Although we bought tickets, we couldn't go to the west side.
Yes.
I think that the football program should take over the spring game and plan more activities to get more people in there who can really watch the game comfortably.
Okay.
With enough concession stands. I don't know if the university can do it. I think the football program should take over.
Well, I
Because
mean,
they did a sorry job Saturday.
I will say this. Yeah, I mean, there were some good things I can say over the weekend, and I will, did we have some hiccups? Yes, right. I know that there were some things that we talked about as a football staff, things that we all need to be better with, and I think just so you guys know, we tried to use Saturday as a gauge for our first game of the year, and I think, did I get some emails? Yes, I did. Did I get some phone calls? Definitely. Did people talk to me at the game? Absolutely. But I will say this: we invited, we made it a point to invite Coach Hubbard back over the weekend, and I thought that was a really plus for us. We had a function for him. We did a sit down with Coach Hubbard. And I think that was a start, I guess, for him to get himself more engaged to what we're doing at Florida A&M, because we all know that Florida A&M ain't where they are if it wasn't for what Coach Hubbard and some of the accomplishments that he has had, he did in the 70s. So I think, again, are we perfect? Are we perfect, Ms. Hadley? No. Are we going to continue to work on it? I will say yes. And believe it or not, we had that same conversation that you just said to me. We had that meeting. I was with the athletic director at 11 o'clock, and we were discussing some of the things that, yes, football, we did a good job. There are some things that we need to work on as well to help them with what they're doing also. Yes. I mean, I wrote down I was going to try to put you on the east side and west side, the other side that you wanted to be on, our side. You wanted to be on our, and I wrote that down, and I might have, okay, well, see. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, I'm wondering, I've seen the defense drop a few balls. I was wondering if you teach them how to catch a ball.
Now, you see, hey, look, hey. Now, we did catch four. Now, we did. I mean, we had the most interceptions this week, on Saturday, than we had all spring. we had four. Now, you're right. We work ball drills every day. Sometimes you see why those guys are on defense, right? Sometimes, right, by them dropping. Now, but I will say we had four. We actually had 4 interceptions on Saturday. Extremely happy with the amount of turnovers that we had. And believe it or not, 2 of those 4 turnovers that we did have turned into touchdowns. So we want to be extremely opportunistic on the defensive side. Do we need to catch more? Yes. Did we catch 4? Yes. Will I take those 4? Absolutely. But we will get better with that. Yes. It's my staff meeting. What time we got? It's 1:20.
All right, Coach, you got time for one more?
Okay.
One more question?
I have one question that going to kind of go back to where we already been. Your quarterback, you were talking about your 2 quarterbacks. At this point is basically equal, but you said some things like after that. Are you going to be when you make your decision on who the quarterback is going to be, you're going to be committed to that quarterback, or you going to be impulsively like, if he start messing up, you're going to just take him out? No, you got to be.
Well,
I'm gonna let her speak.
The 5th quarterback, the 6th. The first one might get hurt.
Coach, I wouldn't touch that one if I was
Well, I mean, I'm here to answer questions, so I will give you my best answer. Okay, I will say this: we have in place, we have an evaluation in place that should let us know who the number 1 quarterback is. Okay, it has not been decided yet. Nor has it been decided how I will handle if we aren't where we need to be. You know, I will say this: when you go to most places that have quarterback situations like this, and you name a starter, you have to give him the opportunity to at times make some mistakes, right? But how long is that leash? That's something I cannot tell you. I mean, we're in April, right? You know, when are the interceptions thrown? When are the mistakes made? You know, that's probably the best answer I can give. But I will say that we do have a lot of things in place that should allow us to come to the conclusion of who that number one guy should be. Yeah, you can, and they tried that with Charlie Ward, and then it became Charlie Ward. What would I like for it to be? I would not like for it to be a two quarterback race. I'd like to have one guy. And then if something does happen to that one guy, then we have a capable backup to be second. I don't think it's fair to have that starting quarterback who may be doing well, having him going back and forth. Now, for us to go back and forth to the number two, it's because that the number one did not do well. Now, I heard Ms. Hadley mention fifth quarterback and sixth quarterback. We ain't got one of those. Hopefully we don't have to get to that point. It might be me as the fifth or the sixth if we have to go to that point.
Coach.
Yes, ma'am.
I have one last comment.
Okay.
Going back to what Ms. Hattie was saying about the east side and the west side, and I understand that's not, you're there to coach. Right. I understand that. But I would appreciate it if you would pass on to whoever those upper people are.
I think it is.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that they hear me because when we have functions like that, FAMU is in the process of trying to raise money. Am I correct? Okay.
I think everyone is, yes.
Okay. All right. But everyone, but we're talking about FAMU right
yes,
now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
If we are in the process of trying to raise money, then we need to do something that will satisfy the people that are going to pay the money. We need to do something that satisfies those of us who are fans, because now it was unmercifully hot out there Saturday. And I can appreciate trying to help the athletic department and FAMU. But if it's too hot out there, you're not going to get anybody to come to support you. So if the fans are requesting that we be on the west side, when the sun goes down, it goes down behind the stadium. So we have shade over there. But if not, then we need to think about having that game at 10 o'clock in the mornings. Right. So it'll be a little bit cooler. Right. Or at night, later in the evening.
Well, I mean,
5 or 6 o'clock.
When we made the times for the games, right, we were trying to also not affect our softball team. Right? Okay. So and so we were, and I was asked for the time, but even I was the one who asked for it to be at 4 o'clock. And as of last year, I think the game was at noon or whatever time it was. Yeah, so. When I made the time, I made it specifically because I didn't want to affect our softball program, right? I wanted to make sure they had enough fans as they possibly could. So, and believe me, I will say this: we've met about Saturday, and we know that it was not as perfect as we would for our fans and everyone that experienced the game, and we are trying, and I'm in the meeting as well, to try to make this as great as we could make it be as far as the fan experience. Now we know, for the people that are new to the family, we know why we play at 6, right? When we do have our home game for that reason, right? So it's not too. It is, but again, I do know we're not going to make everybody happy, and I understand that, but it's important to voice your concerns, and believe me, they're being heard. They're being heard.
Coach.
I agree.
Coach, was it a reason why they moved from the western side to the eastern side? Because we always been on the western side. What was the rationale for going to the east this year?
That part I don't know. That was just I knew they didn't want to have both sides open, because then that means you have to have both concessions open, which now you're spending more money possibly than what you're making, And I guess the determining factor was they just wanted to do it on that side. So that's again, don't quote me. I'm just saying that was what I would think.
Make sure it's on the west end.
Okay. Okay. I got you. I mean, I got 5 more minutes.
All right, Coach.
Is everybody okay? All right, we talked special teams. We did. I got that question answered. And again, hey guys, it's great to see all you guys. And I know we'll be back in a couple weeks, and our guys will be doing final exams, and hopefully I have the ability to answer some of your portal questions with names. All right, and hopefully some of the names I'm mentioning are names that you heard before, because those guys got out of the portal and decided to stay with us here at Florida A&M. So again, thanks for having me. Great to see everyone, and looking forward to seeing you guys again.
Thank you, Coach. Anybody missing a ring? Coach, who was the great defensive end for Miami, University of Miami many years ago? He went in the pros. He later became a head coach at Florida A&M. Who am I talking about, boy? He was later FAMU's head coach. Reuben Carter. Well, Reuben Carter was one of the most highly recruited football players in the country. So Coach Gaither told Bobby Lang, said, Bobby, go down there and get you a hotel room and don't come back without him. Bobby got lucky. He found a payphone where he could see the house, and so he hooked up there and waited on Reuben to come out. But he never did come out, so Bobby called the house. He had the phone number, but that payphone back in those days. And the young man answered the phone and said, just a minute. Then he came back a few minutes later and said, he said he ain't here. Now, just to show you how important football is to integration in this country, those were the days of segregation. And to hide Reuben Carter, they put him up at the Fontainebleau Hotel, one of the best hotels in the country, in the area of segregation. So this game is extremely, extremely important what we do here. And if we are lucky enough to move up one day, and I'm not looking forward to that, I'm just looking forward to we having a football team with the proper appliances. Of course, did they ever fix the leak in your office? They fixed it. There's another. If there's another one, we can get that fixed. Okay. I want our players to live a quality of life that's commensurate with big-time college football. And we can do that if we can just give a little more than we've given before and get more people who haven't given before to give a little bit more. I think when I make this record and y'all see me sing and dance on this rap song, y'all gonna want to buy a copy of that. I know I'm gonna want to buy a copy. But anyway, we got a long ways to go. We got a lot of planning to do, and we're going to get there. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. What happens next week? The church is having a function. Are y'all saying that the church has more power than the 220? Okay. All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Yes. Oh, may I have your attention, please? I can't get these people quiet. Hey, hey. Juan, what did he say?
He said, make sure you do the clean version of your rap.
Oh, I didn't know he knew about the other one. Okay.